But I wanted to say just a couple of things, but most of all give you an opportunity to ask questions. Obviously, potholes are a maddening problem to us.
Yes.
They come every year, whether we want them to or not. We never know when they're coming, and we never know how many of them are coming at any particular point in time, but we do know they'll damage cars and make life miserable for those of us who are trying to drive back and forth to work and other places. So it's really been on our minds to find a better way of filling these potholes that's faster, uses fewer people, and also fixes them for a longer period of time, so we don't have to come back around quite so often. So we're very grateful for the Rose Equipment and other folks who allowed this vehicle to come down here today to show you and us how it works. You'll recall that this is being funded with part of the $10 million that we recently, or that we're currently asking the council to put into our road repair budget. About $1 to $1.5 million right in there is going to be used to buy 4 of these, plus some other related kinds of equipment repair vehicles. And I think that's probably about all I'll tell you. The rest of the money that's not the $1.5 million will be going directly into street repair. So we wanted to be sure that that gets done. But it does have a great positive effect on our productivity in a number of different ways. And Mickey, I don't know if you want to make a couple comments or you want to just respond to questions.
Is there any questions?
Can you tell us about today's demo truck, where it came from, and who used it?
Sure, and we have a couple of vendors. If you don't mind, I'd love to have them come up here.
Okay.
Yeah, come on up here.
And let them know who you are.
I'm Jim Ramey with Rose Equipment in Lincoln. We're the dealer for this product in Nebraska.
I'm Pete Culp, and they give me a nickname of Patcher Pete because I go all over doing this job right here, demonstrating and promoting this product. And I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, but our factory is out of Lincolnton, North Carolina. It's called Leeboy, which a few years ago they bought Roscoe, and it's all one big family.
And this is used in Holt County.
Yeah, this unit came from Holt County, and they were kind enough to let us borrow it. Knox County, kind enough to let us borrow it today, and we have sold a number of these units up in the northern part of the counties, Pierce, Madison, Holt. Where else?
Well, I can add to that a little bit. As far as major cities go, Houston, Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, New York City, Tri-Borough Bridge Authority, Minneapolis, Loveland, Colorado. Those are some of the places I've sold and they're using it. This is really not the true finished product. After about a day, you'll come by, that patch will look a lot different. It'll get compacted, it'll get sealed, and these patches will last 3 to 5 years. Depends on what they're doing. If they're doing what's called throw and roll stuff, that generally comes out about 48 hours. This patch was part of a study done by the federal government in the early 1990s, and the federal government called it the Sharp Report. You can go look it up. But spray injection patching, which is what this is, actually had the longest lasting patches for the fewest amount of dollars to put it in place.
What exactly are you putting in?
It is a liquid tar, which is called an emulsion, and an aggregate or rock, and they're designed to bond together and stick together. It's a 4-step process. If you noticed, I blew it out and cleaned it out. Tacked it, that seals it, put the mix, dry coat of rock, and drive off to the next pothole.
Is that a quartzite rock?
This is granite. Some places use limestone, some of them use a dolomite. It just depends what's available. The key is to have the right emulsion for the right rock, because the machine doesn't know if it's right or wrong. It'll put it down, but if they don't bond together, it's going to come out, and that's not the machine's fault. It depends on what you're paying for your cold patch, but you can figure about, excuse me, about $25 a ton to put this in place.
and $100 on the coal patch per yard.
Yes. Again, I urge you to look at that Sharp report because it did all 50 states. It's got a lot of good information in it.
We had almost 200,000.
It's
Your best price. We want your best
That's
price.
right. That's it.
It's
I'm glad
good.
they're putting him on the spot.
The things were bid to you for $217,000.
Inefficiency.
Well, that's kind of hard. It depends on how many hours you put on it. I can say that Holt County, who has this truck, had one just like it, and he ran it 15 years. The truck was not worn out, and we sold it to another smaller community, but they just felt like they needed to replace the unit. The nice thing about this unit, it doesn't have any wear costs or areas in it. We're moving everything with air on this, so there's not a big maintenance issue with a unit like this.
How does it work with streets? Say you put
Well,
I can talk to that.
yeah, what we're talking about doing is they will patch during the day, and then at night they'll bring the street sweepers and sweep behind the unit that evening. You want the patch to be in there at least 2 hours, 4 hours better. That way the traffic is pushing it down, and the material is setting up in the patch.
The material is designed to break and set within an hour. Probably the first half hour it's going to be 90% set with traffic flowing over it.
I don't have exact numbers for you today. We're happy to get that information to you. But really what we're looking at is an efficiency saving, so a single operator unit where we have one person replacing a 4-man system. And hopefully those other 3 that get diverted to our current practices now will be working on more preventative techniques like crack sealing, using, I don't know if you were here last time when we talked about fibercrete and Mastec, yes. So there's 2 other technologies that we want to use for more preventative maintenance as opposed to pothole repair. So the savings really comes in how you divert those crews. Rather than having 4 people on site doing potholes, you have a single operator doing that work. But we really haven't pulled all of that financial information together. But
Can I make a comment?
yes, you can.
The one thing you want to think of with this product is safety. That operator's in that cab. He's not out on the street. He's going to be more productive for you, okay? Also, if you have a situation that calls for a late night repair, you can send one guy out without having to send a whole crew because you got air boards and beacons and stuff. He can go out, take care of that, get back off the street and go back home.
That's a great point. It's resources, it's lowering work comp claims, it's lowering injuries and risk for our people. So that it's all of that taken together. Roger, do you have any?
I just was going to say it's really exciting as our pavement management has really shown we're starting to catch up and do a better job on our arterial streets and be in a position to give our street maintenance forces some new technology and some equipment that helps them really do their job and continue to reinforce the pavement management is exciting. And sometimes we always talk a lot about saving. How much money are we saving? We aren't keeping up on our repairs and we're not staying ahead of the potholes. So with this equipment and being able to spend that money, I think we have a chance to catch up, get ahead, stay on top of that and spend that money, but actually then we're providing a much higher level of service to the community.
We plan to have them in operation next year.
Yeah, we have to go through a process, a procurement process, like with anything when you're buying anything. We also have to get council approval, a public hearing in a couple of weeks to make sure that the money from Java goes into streets. And once that occurs, we'll be freed up to go through the procurement process.
And we need time to build it.
And then, yeah, these guys would need time to build it. Yes, yes, to my Yeah.
since the early 90s. Mhm.
And we have demonstrated to the city of Lincoln this is probably the second or third demonstration that we have done to the city of Lincoln through the last 3 or 4 years.
Right. The guys have seen this technology before, and we just haven't had an opportunity like this with money being available for this investment. So we're excited that Mayor is really supportive of this initiative and the equipment. It's great. Oh, we're not keeping up with Omaha.
Not to my knowledge, they do not. They do not.
You can talk to Bob Stubbe about that, though.
So we don't expect that this machine will put more jobs.
Oh goodness, no. We have so much work around the city, citywide, and that's one of the reasons we like the equipment and the investment in equipment. While we're spending 8.5 on resurfacing selected streets that need that repair, this allows us to get citywide and get to all neighborhoods, and whether it's an arterial street or a residential street, it doesn't matter. So those people will be used on more preventative maintenance like crack sealing.
Got one quick little story. I started up a new machine for the city of Kannapolis, North Carolina, and they had a set of potholes that they wanted us to go hit first because people had called in about them. So we went and did them, and we pulled away and got about 3 blocks away, and the mayor already had a call, and the little lady wanted to know how come we didn't know one on her side of the street that hadn't been reported to us. So we went back and took care of that one. So it is a public deal that once they see it and get familiar with it, they'll be calling you for it.
Keep calling. Oh, that's a
There you go.
thought.
You bet.
We need another. Yeah, we need another Patch or Pete. That'd be fun.
My name is Pete Culp. It's Petekulp, as in Peter.
Jim Ramey, Ramey.
These trucks don't need toilet paper to seal.
No, it is not a crack sealer.
I guess as a representative for street maintenance specifically, I'd like to take the opportunity because as they'd said before, we have seen this before. It's something that just we haven't been able to have the ability to purchase or utilize, and like to thank the mayor for the opportunity. I can speak for our crews that we're really excited for the opportunity and ability to be able to use these. We feel very confident that we'll be able to make an impact on the potholes as we go forward to continue to work for it. So we're really excited to be able to have the new equipment. So thank you, Mayor. Yes, ma'am. Engelman, Engelman. Yeah, Clay. Yep. I can answer that. As far as from our street maintenance perspective, is our intent is we're getting storage tanks in order to be able to hold the emulsion oil year round, and it will keep it heated. So our ability is and intention is to be able to do this year round. So there will be no off season. The main issue is below 0 degrees is about the only threshold that we really have as far as being able to work it. So
It will work down to 0. When I started the one up at Kannapolis, it was 9 degrees that morning we went to work. Wetness is a big problem. A downpour of rain, obviously not, but a light drizzle, it will push a lot of the water out. Put a little more tar to seal it.
and that is the same limitation that we have now. I mean, if it's raining, obviously, especially with right now, we have guys actually getting out of vehicles on the ground. It's really not safe when there's any sort of adverse weather to really be doing potholes. So we have that same limitation right now. This might actually be able to expand and make our limitations not as drastic. So we may be able to do a little more because they're safer to operate.
We got like a cold snap and then a lot of snow. And
Lot of
also
melt.
it's dropping, the temperature really increasing. You get all this melt off. If you have all the melt off on the road, you can do it. As long as the temperature's up.
There's a certain point that you cannot dissipate the water, but 90% of it you're going to be able to do.
Well, with the blower system,
That's
we're gonna
the
blow
blower.
the moisture out.
Moisture is an enemy of the pothole. because it freezes and pops out, causes your pothole.
So he said these will hold for 3 to 5 years. How long are the ones that you guys are filling right now?
With the cold mix, it really kind of depends on a lot of different aspects, but when we're putting in with cold mix, if we have a storm, like when we had the back-to-back storms, if you fill a pothole and then you have the freeze thaw period right afterwards, more than likely it's not going to last more than the 48 hours. If you put in with cold mix after that last storm and we have the nicer weather and there hasn't been the rain, it's going to stay more often than not until we have another freeze thaw or we get the rain. It has to do a lot with the moisture, and once you get that moisture, a lot of times the cold mix isn't going to stay in.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it very much.